Eckhart Tolle talks about the wealth of spirituality. He says that people are madly chasing the material wealth and working very hard for it. But the true wealth is their spiritual wealth. This spiritual wealth comes when we align ourselves with the present moments and connect with our being. The true wealth. Those who have not found their true wealth, which is the radiant joy of being and the deep, unshakable peace that comes with it, are beggars, even if they have great material wealth. They're looking outside for scraps of pleasure or fulfillment, for validation, security, or love. The word enlightenment conjures up the idea of some superhuman accomplishment, and the ego likes to keep it that way, but it is simply your natural state of felt connectedness with being. It is a state of connectedness with something immeasurable and indestructible, something that almost paradoxically is essentially you and yet is much greater than you. It is finding your true nature beyond name and form. The inability to feel this connectedness gives rise to the illusion of separation from yourself and from the world around you. You then perceive yourself, consciously or unconsciously, as an isolated fragment. Fear arises, and conflict within and without becomes the norm. Then ultimately, what is enlightenment in simple words? It is the end of suffering. The goal is to arrive at a point in which there is no mental suffering. There may be physical suffering, but our mental state's completely calm and quiet. But what's left when there is no more suffering? There is just silence. This just silence. This silence, it you'll have to find out for yourself. I use a negative definition so that the mind cannot make it into something to believe in or into a superhuman accomplishment, a goal that is impossible for you to attain. So don't chase enlightenment, just be present in the moment. Identification with our mind. Identification with your mind creates an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, judgments, and definitions that blocks all true relationship. It comes between you and yourself, between you and your fellow man and woman, between you and God. It is this screen of thought that creates the illusion of separateness, the illusion that there is you and a totally separate other. You then forget the essential fact that, underneath the level of physical appearances and separate forms, you are one with all that is. By forget, I mean that you can no longer feel this oneness as self-evident reality. You may believe it to be true, but you no longer know it to be true. A belief may be comforting. Only through your own experience, however, does it become liberating. The mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. To put it more accurately, it is not so much that you use your mind wrongly. You usually don't use it at all. It uses you. This is the disease. You believe that you are your mind. This is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. And the liberation from the grip of mind is only available in the now. Worrying about future and dwelling in the past can't help us any. Only being fully present in the now solves the problem, dissolving the ego, because you are identified with it, which means that you derive your sense of self from the content and activity of your mind. Because you believe that you would cease to be if you stopped thinking. As you grow up, you form a mental image of who you are, based on your personal and cultural conditioning. We may call this phantom self the ego. It consists of mind activity and can only be kept going through constant thinking. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, it means a false self, created by unconscious identification with the mind. To the ego, the present moment hardly exists. Only past and future are considered important. This total reversal of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It is always concerned with keeping the past alive, because without it, who are you? It constantly projects itself into the future to ensure its continued survival and to seek some kind of release or fulfillment there. It says, one day, when this, that, or the other happens, I am going to be okay, happy, at peace. Even when the ego seems to be concerned with the present, it is not the present that it sees. It is not the present that it sees. It misperceives it completely because it looks at it, or it reduces the present to a means to an end that always lies in the mind, projected future. Observe your mind, and you'll see that this is how it works. The present moment holds the key to liberation, but you cannot find the present moment as long as you are your mind.